Hello, my name is Corin Boomer. I'm a veterinarian and a rider at the South African Lipizzaners. And this is Pluto Elette. He is my solo horse. He gets ridden in side saddle. And as a solo horse, of course, we want to try and keep him as beautiful as we possibly can. At the South African Lipizzaners, we do not plait the horses' manes, ever. We present the horses with free-flowing manes. And because of that, we have to obviously clean and brush the mane on a weekly basis for every performance, and we want to try and preserve the mane as much as possible so that we don't lose any hair. In order to do that, we spray the mane with a detangler that we have made ourselves. It will be very soon available in our Lipizzaner shop for purchase. And then we have a specific way of brushing the mane in such a way that we lose as little as possible of the hair and we don't break any. I will demonstrate that now. So we have a normal commercial hairbrush, and this is just a container, and our mane and tail detangler is in there. It gets shaken first, and some horses are a little bit apprehensive of the spray, so I always spray it into my hand first so you can hear the sound and you can notice the smell, and then we spray the mane. So we spray the mane in such a way that we get as much of the detangler onto it without wetting the mane excessively. It just needs to be slightly damp, and horses that have thick mane like he does, it's useful to spray the underside as well. Some horses are unhappy about being sprayed so close to the ears, so if that's the case, then just spray it into your hand and just wipe it into their hair. You don't want to make your horse hair shy just because you are busy spraying his mane. The same goes for the forelock. Good boy. I'll stand in front of him, I will spray it into my hand, and then I will gently wipe it into the forelock, obviously not wanting to spray it into his eyes. There we go, good boy. All right, I would then spray the tail and allow the detangler to work in before I start brushing the mane, followed by the forelock and then the tail. So now that we've sprayed the mane, we would want the detangler to start working into the mane a little bit. We can use that time and spray the tail so long, and then the tail can be, the detangler can work into the tail while we brush the mane, and then we go back to the tail. So that's it's a nice way of working through your day and not making it too long. Obviously I want to make sure that the horse knows that I'm here. I've told him I'm around, that they don't get a fright, don't approach the horse from behind and suddenly grab his tail, he might not like it. So we take the tail and we fan the tail out like this. Again, I sometimes make some spraying noises or spray without touching the horse so that they know the sound is coming, they don't get a fright. And then I spray. And you want to try and spray. It's a good boy. And you see how the horse reacted to the moisture on his skin? As long as you are telling him what's happening, he probably will be absolutely fine with that. So now we've sprayed everything, spray the underside. And now I go to the other side of the horse, make sure he knows that you're there. And then also we want to walk as close as possible to the horse. If he does get a fright and he kicks, if he is close to you, he can't hurt you. If you're far away, they will hurt you. All right, so I'll warn him. And then I pick up the tail exactly the same way. Then we pick up the tail again, in a similar fashion. Stand. Again, make sure the horse knows you're here and warn him that you're going to spray. And we spray the tail in the same way. This is to ensure that you spray every tail hair from all directions. Stand still. Come. Good boy. The more you do it, the better the horses become at this. They get used to it. Our horses get their manes and tails done every Sunday if they're in a performance. So they get quite good at this. Right. And again, you can spray some into your hand and just brush over the top. And that would be the tail. So now we can go back to the mane and we can brush the mane and let the detangler work into the tail so long. All right, now the detangler has worked in and we are ready to start brushing the mane. Always start at the bottom by the wither, because horses might have to get used to the fact that you are brushing head up, and you don't want to start at the sensitive side where the ears are. So what we want to do, the short hair is easy to brush, it just brushes through. But the minute the hair starts getting longer, you can see that the brush gets stuck now. So what we want to do is grab a handful, small amount, start at the bottom, brush the bottom of the hair, holding onto the top so that we don't pull any hairs out unnecessarily. Once in a while you will pull a hair out, but that hair is probably dead and it comes out anyway. And then we just work our way up to the horse's head. And make sure that you brush all the way down to the root, because if you don't, the tangles will come back very quickly and it looks like your horse's mane has never actually been brushed. If the brush gets stuck, go back down. It's very much like brushing your own hair. As you can see, I have had lots of practice. My hair is long, and I know exactly what it feels like when somebody puts a brush on it and rips it. So I try to be very sensitive towards the horse's feelings here as well. There we go. And then we just want to make sure that the hair is straight and even underneath the bridle, so that we don't pull any hair out there unnecessarily. There you go. This is now nice. And then we'll go to the forelock. Stand in front of the horse if it is safe to do so. I know this horse very well. He will definitely not walk on top of me. If you're not sure, stand to the side rather. And again, the same applies. We start at the bottom and then we fluff the forelock out like that. Alright, now that the mane is done and we've had time to get the detangler to work on the tail, we can brush the tail, and there's a very specific way that we brush the tail. We are all proud of our horses' beautiful tails and we want them to be nice and full and long, so it's very important not to pull any hair out. It takes 7 years for a hair to grow from the root all the way to the length of the horse's tail. So if you pull a hair out, it takes 7 years for that hair to grow back, and we want to try and keep them like this. I always start at the top because I want the horse to be aware, and those are just the short hairs that are brushed like this. The minute the brush starts getting stuck, I will stop. That's not ideal. So here you will find that some of the hair comes out, and those are loose dead hairs that come out. There we go. Right, then we take the bottom of the tail, take everything into your hand and hold it in such a way that we stop the hair from pulling from the top. So then we brush the end until that's soft, and then we take our hand further up and just keep brushing up to a certain point, probably about 20 to 30 centimeters, and afterwards it becomes a bit more complicated. So now, if you have a horse with a very thin tail, you're probably fine. You just carry on like this. The minute the tail gets a bit thicker, you won't be able to hold it to stop the hair from pulling out. So what we then do is we've now brushed the bottom nice and softly and the hair is falling loose. We start at the top and we take the shorter hairs, brush them, but hold the end, and that comes down. There we go, and that's now nice and loose. Brush it away. Take another handful, starting at the bottom, brush all the way up, and push it to the side. Take another one, loosen the hair, get it all separately, and then we start again at the bottom, brush all the way up to the root, and push it to the side. And then the next one, and you carry on like this until you're through the whole tail. Stand still, nicely. No, standing. So when you have fly worry, it becomes quite challenging because the horses want to try and brush the flies away with their tail, and they keep pulling their tail out of your hand, which is why if you're starting on the one side, if I drop it now, I know what I have done and what I haven't done. And just take manageable strands every time. The thicker the tail, the more strands you'll use, but it is well worth it at the end when you look at your brush and there's hardly a hair in it. Very rewarding. It's very important, again, as with the mane, to brush all the way to the root, because if you don't, you're going to end up with those dreadlocky type of curls that immediately tangle again, and 5 minutes later it doesn't look like your tail has even been brushed. Right, we're nearing the end here now. Here we go, almost done. And then make sure you also brush the underside, because again, that's where the tangles start coming from, and a lot of times there's very old hair there which will come out anyway. There we go. Right, and now to test, all we have to do is fan the tail out, and you will see it falls in beautiful, long, individual hairs, and it's easy to brush through. You can see how well the detangler works for this, and it smooths the hair and it stops all the hooking. There we go, like that. Final little brush to make sure everything is good. Right, and now my horse is ready to perform the solo. Those are the only hairs we've lost. Just super. That detangler will hopefully be available in the Lipizzaner shop for purchase for anybody who wants to try it on their horses, and you'll be very, very pleased. It works very well.